Over 50% of tech professionals are experiencing burnout right now, with many considering leaving their field entirely. I was one of those people 4 years back, working 12-hour days, checking Slack at 2 a.m., and completely draining myself in the process. I felt like a smartphone with a 1% battery, constantly running too many apps. My mind raced even during supposed downtime. My body physically ached from stress. Today, I am sharing a powerful three-step boundary system that transformed my relationship with work. The last one will shock you. This approach helped me reclaim my time, energy, and passion while advancing my career. Let me give you the background. The breaking point. I used to be a DevOps engineer with a genuine passion for technology. What started as excitement slowly transformed into something else entirely. A prison of endless tasks, midnight notifications, and constant pressure that nearly broke me. My mornings began with a flood of Slack and Teams messages before I could even start my day. I would transition directly from bed to desks for early meetings, then glued to screens till midnight. This relentless cycle repeated daily, gradually wearing me down. Travel intensified the exhaustion. Each week, I flew to different client sites, my existence blurring into continuous stream of airports, hotels, and client meetings. I lived out of a suitcase, eating alone while trying to manage an overwhelming workload. I was home only 2 days a week. These weren't moments of connection, just recovery time. I would sleep, do laundry, and prepare for the next trip. My family became strangers. My children grew while I remained absent. Working remotely offered no relief. My calendar was filled with back-to-back meetings, leaving minimal time for actual work. Each project demanded learning new technologies on impossible deadlines. Many nights ended at 3 a.m. as I struggled to understand unfamiliar systems before the next day's presentation. I harbored dreams of entrepreneurship, constantly promising myself to work on them when things calmed down. But the mental drain left me foggy and unable to think creatively when free moments finally arrived. My health deteriorated. Headaches became constant companions. Sleep eluded me despite exhaustion. Tasks took 3 times longer to complete. The technologies that once fascinated me transformed into burdens. My breaking point came early on Monday morning when I got a call. I was being reassigned to another high-pressure project, one that urgently needed my expertise. I had just spent countless nights learning new tools and certifications for my current clients. Now I'm expected to drop everything and start all over again. What new technologies will this client need? Will there be more sleepless nights? More pressure? In that moment, the pace finally caught up with me. I couldn't hold it anymore. I sat in silence, overwhelmed, and the tears came. Tears I hadn't shed in years. That moment of vulnerability became a turning point. It forced me to face the truth. I was completely burned out. Something had to change. And for the first time, I was ready to admit it. I needed help. I couldn't keep living like this. The following day, I contacted a therapist friend who specializes in tech professional burnout. She confirmed my suspicions. I displayed classic burnout signs: emotional exhaustion, motivation loss, and detachment from the work I once loved. Through our sessions, we identified my specific triggers: constant digital connectivity, non-existent boundaries between work and personal life, perfectionism leading to over-preparation, guilt about unrealized entrepreneurial ambitions, and inability to enjoy family time without work interruptions. This awareness prompted my first meaningful change. I implemented what my therapist called notification blackout. From 7 p.m. to 7 a.m., creating space to breathe, reconnect with family, and rediscover myself beyond my job title. This boundary provided essential breathing room. But I realized recovery required more. The next step in my journey would involve something I would always dismiss: not technical enough: mindfulness. The mindfulness reset, finding space between thoughts. How I turned mindfulness from occasion practice into non-negotiable ritual. I had been practicing mindfulness and meditation on and off for years, but I'm being honest, I didn't take it seriously, especially during those high-pressure weeks filled with travels, demanding client projects, and constant deadlines. It became the first thing to fall off my plate. When I was rushing through airports or preparing for yet another unfamiliar tech stack, mindfulness felt like luxury I couldn't afford. I told myself I will get back on track next week, but next week rarely came. It wasn't until the burnout hit me head on that I realized I needed more than sporadic habits. I needed a system, one that grounded me, centered me, and gave my mind a break from nonstop input it was trained to process. I made a decision. Mindfulness will no longer be optional. I created a non-negotiable morning ritual that started before I opened any device or checked my messages. 5 to 10 minutes of breath work regulate my nervous system, doing my transcendental meditation to clear mental clutter, and a simple gratitude journaling practice to set the tone for the day. And this time I followed through. Even during travel weeks, I practiced breath work in hotel rooms, meditated in rental cars, and journaled in airport lounges. Wherever I was, the ritual came with me. Throughout the day, I also began embedding micro mindfulness moments into my routine. I used what I already knew from engineering, systems, and tracking. Between client meetings, I would pause for a 3 deep breath before speaking. During code compiles or updates, I would stretch or step outside for fresh air. I place subtle reminders on my laptop. Breathe. Be here. That's one thing. My phone will buzz every 90 minutes with a simple prompt. Are you present? I treated my mental clarity like a system metric, tracking when I was focused, when I wasn't, and what patterns emerged. And slowly, I began to notice something powerful. My stress levels dropped. My focus deepened. I was solving problems faster. I wasn't just reacting. I was choosing. The mindfulness wasn't soft. It was strategic. It became a performance edge and a source of peace in chaos. With my digital boundaries now in place and mindfulness deeply integrated, I had the clarity to ask, is this the life I want finally? And the answer? It opened the door to the next chapter. Now, before I go to step 3, let me tell you this. This is the most important thing many of us refuse to come to terms with. We create our own stories to make us feel good. To be clear, I'm not saying my tech skills weren't a passion. My passion has evolved, and I am now focused on using my skills for something more personally meaningful than building someone else's dream. So, step 3 is rewriting the rules, creating sustainable work identity. Have honest conversations and identify what is draining your energy. What if I'm just not cut out for this anymore? That question kept echoing in my mind after another exhausting week. Even after I implemented boundaries and practiced mindfulness, something still felt off. I noticed I was struggling with overwhelming guilt whenever I wasn't working. Taking time off felt wrong, like letting clients down or disappointing my team. After years of being the reliable problem solver everyone counted on, stepping back felt like betraying who I was. Tech culture had programmed me to glorify overwork and constant availability, weekend emergencies, and pride in crushing it under impossible deadlines. I had internalized all without questioning whether it aligned with the life I actually wanted. I realized my self-worth was wrapped up in productivity rather than fulfillment. My satisfaction came from completed tickets and solved problems, not purpose or meaningful connection. When asked what I did for fun, I genuinely had no answer beyond learning new technologies. My therapist suggested a value classification exercise, something I initially dismissed as too abstract. She challenged me to identify what truly mattered beyond performance metrics, client feedback, or professional recognition. The process was uncomfortable, forcing me to look beyond my identity built around technical expertise. Eventually, something powerful emerged. I valued freedom, purpose, impact, and inner peace more than any metric or promotion. The realization hit hard. My career consistently offered none of this, regardless of how successful I became within its structure. With this new clarity, I wrote a personal mission statement focused on sustainable success and authentic impact. It became my compass pointing toward what actually mattered. This clarity gave me the courage to acknowledge what had been true for months. Traditional tech roles no longer fit me. The constant context switching between clients and technologies wasn't aligned with how I wanted to live. I made a decision that felt both terrifying and inevitable. I quit my high-paying DevOps consulting job after building a financial runway. There were moments of doubt, but they never compared to the dread of returning to my previous lifestyle. I began designing a business in life coaching, conscious entrepreneurship, and spiritual growth areas aligned with my journey. I leveled my technical background to create something uniquely mine. Conversations about my career shift were surprisingly supportive. Many confessed to experiencing the same burnout but didn't know alternatives existed. Some reached out later asking for guidance on their own transitions. 6 months after my burnout breaking point, my relationship with work transformed. I still work hard, but the work energized rather than depleted me. I measured success by impact and growth instead of hours logged. The greatest shift wasn't external, but internal. I no longer defined myself solely by technical abilities or availability. I had built an identity that honored all parts of who I was. To conclude my story, today, I still draw from my tech background, but with renewed passion, clear boundaries, and purpose. Burnout didn't force me to abandon everything I knew. It taught me to rebuild around what truly matters. Remember how we started with 50% of professionals experiencing burnout. You don't have to be one of them. Also, remember my transformation hinge on these 3 simple steps. 1. Create digital boundaries. Establish your own tech-free zones. Very important. Number 2, practice micro mindfulness. Find moments of presence throughout your day. And 3, have honest discussions. Identify what is draining you. Which part of your life is begging for a mindful reboot? How did you solve a similar issue? Are you going through the same burnout? Please share your comments below and let's build this community of intentional living together. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to support the channel. Sharing it with your friends and network can have surprisingly big impact on someone's life. Thank you. Namaste.